seen. I make no apologies. This is me.
Welcome to our Thriving Team. The Thriving Team is a model which will help us mentor you to excellence. We're going to use this as the basis of our training, of our recruitment and our nurture sessions. The whole point of the Thriving Team model is we don't want you to just be happy at work. We don't want you to just achieve well at work. We want you to thrive at work. And if you thrive as an individual, the whole team will thrive, the company will thrive. And what's better than that? This is going to be a way that we can track your performance over time, and it's going to give you a tangible but less personal way of evaluating yourself. So rather than me saying, how's it all going? How do you feel you're doing? Which is, the onus is very much on you to come up with a snap, kind of 1 or 2 sentence answer to a question like, how are you? So it's going to give you ownership, but it's also going to give you much more clarity about how you are doing and how you are feeling, and how close you are to thriving, and how close we are to mentoring you to excellence. The way the Thriving Team model works is that there are 3 concentric circles in a Venn diagram. There's Thriving Classroom. I've used the word classroom rather than the word studio because we refer to the whole company as a studio, and I thought that might be confusing. But for Thriving Classroom, that's talking about your work inside the studio. There's Thriving Customer, which is your relationships, your rapport, your communication. And then the 3rd circle is you. Because without you, what are we? So it's you, it's your thriving self. So with Thriving Classroom, we're thinking about things like your artistry, like your flow, like the way you transition between activities, your delivery of the material, your ability to curate the DanceWise experience for each and every student that steps through the door. It's about how you're facilitating that exceptional level of education that is what we're all here for. It's about that studio experience from the moment the student walks through your door to the moment they leave. Basically, to sum it up, Thriving Classroom is everything that goes into how you facilitate that learning. The 2nd circle, Thriving Customer, we're not just teaching here. We are passionate about having an amazing personal connection, and incredible rapport with our customers, be that the student or their family. We've all seen fabulous teachers that are just dynamos in the studio, but they have no connection, they have no rapport, and the students don't feel anything. We've all seen those teachers, the ones that are amazing dancers or stunning singers, but they have no clue about the importance of that personal connection, and how what you know is irrelevant if there's no rapport. What's that quote? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. It's about communicating the progression that the student is making. It's about the connection. It's about communicating the variety of experiences that student is getting from us. And it's just about communication. Now, in that Thriving Customer circle, because of the emphasis on communication, we're also going to use that as the place where we focus on your communication generally. So your communication with your students, your communication with their families, your communication with other members of the team. And thirdly, Thriving Self. I think this is the one we often either think isn't important or we just forget about. Yeah, I'm working really hard in the studio. Yeah, I'm working really hard in the office. But what about you? Because without you, what is it? It is nothing. That's the vital ingredient. That's the reason that you're on the payroll. Let me say that again. That's the reason that you're on the payroll, because we want you. So we need to consider, are you thriving? What do you need for your thriving self? If you're having a hard time personally, maybe you're feeling a bit stale in the studio, maybe you've got health concerns, all of those things are obviously going to impact how effective you are in the classroom, how effective you are with our customer. So we need to make sure that you're thriving too. It's about your own relationship with teaching. It's about why you do what you do and how that helps your life. And all of those things are going to impact on how productive you are. All of those things are going to have an impact on how much energy you bring to the classroom, about how much passion you bring to our customers. Thriving Self is about what do you need to perform better. It's about taking ownership of your own development. What professional learning do you need to take your teaching to the next level? What support or training do you need from us to help you progress? What systems do we need to change, update or implement such that any member of our team is going to be performing exceptionally? Now, when we put those three circles together, it gets really exciting. When we put thriving classroom, thriving customer and thriving self, what we get is a thriving student experience. How magical is that? That the students aren't just coming in and having a good time, or the parents aren't just finding us easy to deal with, and you're not just quite happy in your work. We've got a thriving student experience. It gives me the feels. So kind of to summarise that model, the classroom is how you deliver the content. The customer is the context that you deliver that in. So the relationships, the admin side, the keeping people happy. And the thriving self, that's how you show up, how you bring your energy and how that affects the other two, thriving customer and thriving classroom. When we're thinking about our thriving classroom, our thriving customer and our thriving self, if you haven't got all three working well in harmony, there's going to be a disconnect. So if you've got a thriving classroom, you are a dynamo in front of your class. You are a pocket rocket as soon as you get inside that studio. And you're thriving yourself. You are loving it. There is no way you would rather be. But you're missing that thriving customer element if you're not interested in fostering those relationships with your students, if you're not interested in coming to meetings, attending trainings, things like that. If you just want to teach, you are going to suffer from inconsistent retention in your classes. Students are going to come in, go out, come in, go out. Your students will love your class, but they won't connect with you and the studio. No DanceWise love, no DanceWise family if we're missing that thriving customer. What about if you've got a thriving classroom and thriving customer? Well, you're missing. Maybe you're a little bit distracted. Maybe you've lost your mojo. Maybe you're a bit inconsistent. Well, that's going to result in an inconsistent experience. And that experience is DanceWise. That experience is our brand. That experience is the DanceWise family. We can't have that element missing or lacking. Maybe you've got a thriving customer. Maybe you've got a thriving self. So you love being a teacher. You love people. You love connecting. But maybe that thriving classroom is letting you down. Maybe you're a little disorganised. Maybe you struggle with your lesson planning. Maybe you have issues around behaviour management. Maybe sometimes the class just runs away with you. I know I suffer from this. You get into the flow, you're having such a good time, you're going off on a tangent, and suddenly you're a mile away from the learning outcomes that you put in your lesson plan. So you might have pure joy in your classroom all the time, but if you're getting away from those learning outcomes, we're going to end up with inconsistent delivery. That delivery is so important because it's what we promise. That delivery is what we promise. You know what we promise, changing lives through passion and positivity. Are your lesson plans taking someone closer to that? Is someone, by being in that studio with you that week, that hour, taking a step towards having their life changed through passion and positivity? Now, let's talk about when these things are working really, really well. If we've got a thriving classroom and a thriving self, we get passion. We choose this because we love teaching. We love the classroom experience and how it makes us feel as teachers. We are happiest when we're in front of our students, creating the DanceWise experience for them. Now, when the thriving classroom and the thriving customer are working well together, we've got a fantastic class in the studio. We've got consistency with our customers, and when those two are working together, we get progression. People can forget the noise of the admin and just immerse themselves in their class experience, and that's when students can progress to the highest level possible. The studio experience can be that focus for the student, and the admin just fades into the background because it's so effortless. And that's when we see real joy and real progression. We're delivering on our promise, we're delivering on our learning outcomes. And when that meets everything else just being taken care of, they don't need to worry. When we've got a thriving customer and a thriving self, we get purpose. We know what we're doing. We feel rewarded and fulfilled that we're retaining students in our classroom. We're seeing the energy in class, and having that consistent, thriving student base makes us feel validated as teachers that we know what we're doing and we're doing the right thing and we're doing a great job of it, that what we're doing is working. Thriving customer and thriving self, purpose. We feel a huge sense of purpose with what we're doing. Now, when all three of those circles are working together, we get the thriving student experience. It's Studio Nirvana. It's the heart. Thriving classroom, thriving customer, thriving self. That's the heart. That's the heart of a thriving student experience. It's the heart of everything that we as teachers are trying to do. So just have a think for me. How is everything you're doing in the classroom leading towards that thriving student experience? How is everything you're doing with our customers informing that thriving student experience? And how about you and yourself? What are you doing that gives that thriving student experience? Have a think about those three circles for me. Thriving classroom, thriving customer, thriving self. Have a think about those three areas ready for our nurture session. I can't wait for you to experience using this thriving team model to help us mentor you to excellence.